Good evening, I'm Adrian Arsenault in Whitehorse. People here clearly feeling firsthand the effects of climate change as world leaders meet to find solutions. Tonight, the call for a global carbon tax.
Canada is committed to leading on this.
And the communities who cannot wait for the world to act.
If my humble community can do this, any community can do it.
Going carbon neutral right here in Canada's North.
I'm Andrew Chang. Also tonight, a COVID vaccine for young children approved in the United States.
I'm hoping that all my classmates will get the vaccine.
Will parents get on board? And when can Canadian kids get the shot? What to do about the national flag ahead of Remembrance Day? How to honor veterans and respect the dark legacy of residential schools? And the soaring price of international travel.
That cost was just too much for our family to handle.
From flights to car rentals, why your next trip may really cost you. This is The National.
Welcome to a special edition of The National from Whitehorse. This is a part of Canada that is in many ways years ahead of the rest of the world, seeing rising temperatures, seeing the warning signs of climate change, and meeting the challenges faster. So the implications of our changing planet are issues for all. That's why we're in the Yukon, why we keep telling these stories. Sometimes they're about local action, important but not enough, which is why, skepticism aside, what is happening at the Global Climate Summit in Glasgow matters. The scramble for results real.
We are drowning.
We are off track.
Glasgow is make or break for the planet.
The focus at COP26 today was on tangible worldwide climate action as the planet careens towards and maybe past 1.5 degrees of warming, the critical threshold beyond which changes we're starting to see shift into overdrive. David Cochrane has Justin Trudeau's push today to make a Canadian policy global.
It's a collection of heavy hitters pulled together by Canada to pitch a big idea.
To create a global standard around putting a price on pollution.
Just 20% of global emissions are subject to carbon pricing. Trudeau wants that tripled to 60% by 2030. The goal is to stop polluters from running to no-price jurisdictions to avoid paying for their pollution and to cut emissions enough to make the 1.5-degree global warming target viable.
Unless you have a real global standard, we're never going to get there, not at the pace and scale and speed that we need to in order to keep 1.5 alive.
Canada is committed to leading on this.
They hope the summit launches serious talks on the strategy by showcasing examples where carbon pricing has worked, such as Europe.
It helped us decouple growth from greenhouse gas emissions. So you can prosper while cutting emissions.
A global carbon price will be more transparent, it will be fairer, it will be easier to see and administer.
An easy sell to a panel of European allies and multilateral organizations, but missing are big economies with big emissions.
You know how hard it was for Canada to develop a carbon pricing mechanism at the domestic level. Those debates should happen also in the United States.
Look, a few years ago, nobody would have even imagined that we could set a global minimum corporate tax. And suddenly we have. These are things that are the right ideas that when their time has come, people start to adopt.
Trudeau may be optimistic, but also missing from this are China, Russia, and India. Major emitters and major holdouts, even no-shows to many of the climate initiatives at this summit. David Cochrane, CBC News, Glasgow.
By now, it's easy to dismiss optimism at climate conferences. Divisions and disappointments and distractions, those are expected. But Chris Brown reminds us leaders made some actual progress.
Welcome to Glasgow, Leo.
Lots of famous people come to Glasgow. Movie star and activist Leonardo DiCaprio caused a big sensation. But while celebrities get the attention, it was the leaders making the deals.
Together, we're committing to collectively reduce our methane by 30% by 2030.
Methane, often generated by landfills, is one of the most worrisome greenhouse gases. 100 countries have signed up, including big emitter Brazil, but not China and not Russia. However, Vladimir Putin, who's not at COP26, said in a video statement that he is supporting a landmark agreement to end deforestation. Billionaire Jeff Bezos is contributing $2 billion to that cause.
The private sector must also play its part to reduce carbon emissions.
The money, $19 billion in total, will help protect and restore forests from the Amazon to Africa. Companies will essentially pay nations not to cut down their trees as a way to offset their own carbon emissions.
So what we're trying to do is change that economic incentive on the ground to make forests worth more alive than dead.
Nancy Tembo is the forestry minister of Malawi in Central Africa.
In my country, Malawi, we have programs to restore all our forests, to regenerate all our forests, and we're trying our best, but we need a support.
But outside the venue, protesters pushed back on the idea of private business riding to the rescue.
Banks like JP Morgan are planning another $5 trillion of investment in new fossil fuels over the next 10 years.
The summit has devoted Wednesday to financing, trying to push the global investment community to change the way it invests to reflect new climate priorities. Former Canadian central banker Mark Carney is the headliner. Chris Brown, CBC News, Glasgow.
The tiny community of Old Crow here in Yukon has a big plan to become carbon neutral by 2030. Later in the program, we will sit down with the chief of the Vuntut-Gwitchin First Nation to talk about that plan.
This project is just an indication of our first step. This is a microcosm for where we are as a world.
He's got a message and some good ideas that are now getting global attention. So we will have that conversation in just a bit. Until then, Andrew, back to you in Toronto with more of tonight's top stories.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks very much, Adrian. Now to new developments on the COVID front that parents will be watching very closely tonight. The CDC in the United States has approved the use of the Pfizer vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. And with that decision, some 28 million young kids could start getting their shots within days. Chris Reyes has reaction to that tonight.
Stay loose. 1, 2, 3. You did great, sweetie.
These two sisters from North Carolina were some of the first children in the U.S. to get the vaccine as part of Pfizer's clinical trials. Now, more will follow. For many families, the shots can't come soon enough.
I'm hoping that all my classmates will get the vaccine so we can hang out.
I've lost a lot of family and a lot of close friends to COVID. I would hate to lose more.
The vaccine could be available as early as Wednesday. Pfizer started shipping doses over the weekend. Kids will get the same formula as adults, but a third of the dose given to the age group 12 and older.
Over the next couple of days, several million doses will start arriving at local pediatricians and family doctors' offices, pharmacies, children's hospitals, community health centers, rural health clinics, and other locations.
Vaccine mandates for adults have been extremely controversial in the U.S. Some parents fear schools will require kids to get the shots.
I refuse to put that in my children's body, so I will do whatever it takes to not have to do that.
My mom said that she doesn't want us getting it because we don't know the long-term side effects.
The CDC's advisory committee is an independent group of the country's leading scientists and doctors. Many spoke up after the vote to remind those listening that they're also parents.
We have reviewed this data, and I have vaccinated my kids because I feel like it's safe. And I would not recommend something if I did not feel that way.
In the U.S., about 6 million children between 0 and 18 have been diagnosed with COVID. That number peaking with the Delta variant. Some doctors say kids need the vaccine to help prevent another wave.
There's an urgent need for vaccination. The data that came out from Pfizer is impressive, that it protects against 90% of disease, and it looks overwhelmingly safe.
Okay, so Chris, what do we know about when Health Canada is expected to decide on vaccinations for kids ages 5 to 11?
So, Andrew, there's still a ways to go on that front. Last week, Health Canada's chief medical advisor said approval will not happen before the middle or end of November, since they received Pfizer's data for review later than the FDA did. Now, when approval is granted, Canada is expected to receive some 2.9 million doses of the pediatric shots. But remember, approval is just one step. Health officials caution that even after approval, it will take time to get those shots in arms.
Okay, Chris Reyes in Washington tonight. Thanks. Well, the federal government announced another big step toward rebuilding Canada's battered travel industry today.
Effective November 30th, international flights will be permitted at 8 additional Canadian airports.
So those 8 international airports are in St. John's, Waterloo, and Hamilton, Ontario, Regina, Saskatoon, and Kelowna, Abbotsford, and Victoria, British Columbia. That would bring the total number of airports accepting international travel to 18 by month's end. Returning travelers, though, will still have to show proof of vaccination or a negative PCR COVID test. And more Canadians planning trips are feeling stunned by skyrocketing costs. Those mandatory PCR tests are not cheap, and those deep airline discounts are long gone. Jamie Strachan spoke with some would-be travelers, wondering if it's even worth it.
And there's the children in Mexico, all in bed together.
After nearly 2 years spent close to home, Ian Wilson was eager to take his family on vacation, ready to create new memories.
Every year we before COVID, would go on a holiday with the family. It had been a few years, and the children are in their 20s now, so I was looking at taking the family to Vegas, right? Yeah. And Emma.
Then he started adding up the costs. The big ticket item, COVID testing. To fly from Canada to the US, a rapid antigen test, which runs about $40, is needed. To come home, Canadian travelers need to track down a more expensive PCR test.
It was going to be about $200 to $300 each, so about $1,000 or $1,500 for the whole family.
But it's not just the COVID tests. Everything is more expensive.
You have to look at car rental pricing first, because that may be the most expensive part of your trip.
Canadians used to finding cheap car rentals are in for a shock. In many places, there's simply no inventory.
Areas like Florida, popular leisure travel destinations, we're seeing prices anywhere from $50 to $100 a day. But in previous years, it was easy to get rentals for $30, $35 a day. There was a lot of competition.
And the rock-bottom airfares common at the height of the pandemic have all but disappeared, returning back to 2019 prices before COVID hit.
A lot of travelers are eager to kind of get back out there and start exploring the world. And so really that pent-up demand has translated to a high demand.
For Ian Wilson, it's meant reevaluating this year's holiday plans.
That cost was just too much for our family to handle. So traveling in Canada seemed to be the more economical thing to do.
In the end, the Wilsons visited Nova Scotia. Maybe not the bright lights of the Las Vegas Strip, but still, it was nice to get away. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, as we approach Remembrance Day, there are questions about whether to raise Canadian flags so that they can be lowered again on November 11th. They've been flying at half-mast since May in honor of residential school students. Rafi Boudjikanian explains.
This is a Great War missing in action telegram.
That is just one of many military stories for the Moses family. From the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, John Moses' father, Russ, was forced to attend residential school before he served during the Korean War.
He hadn't previously known that there were items of clothing like socks and underwear. Didn't know that there was a meal called breakfast.
He helped save lives while aboard the HMCS Iroquois when it was shelled by enemy fire.
He was part of the firefighting crew that, without benefit of any sort of breathing apparatus, brought the fire under control.
That incident eventually took his life.
The Department of Veterans Affairs determined that his passing, his final fatal illness, would be attributed to his Korean War service.
So when Remembrance Day comes around, Moses has no issue with raising and lowering the flag to honor veterans, including Indigenous ones like his father. And there was not much debate about it at the Royal Canadian Legion.
The symbolism of the flags being fully hoisted and then being half-masted during the ceremony
is extremely significant to not only the Legion, but to our veterans, to Canadians.
But there is a wider question: when to raise the flags at half-mast at all federal buildings, lowered there since the spring after potentially hundreds of unmarked graves were found at residential schools.
We continue to work very closely with partners, with Indigenous peoples, with communities across the country.
The Assembly of First Nations is in talks this week about the issue and wants to see a meaningful gesture to replace the lowered flags should they be raised. Something the Métis National Council would like as well. It says it agrees with the Legion's decision. Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Ontario's minimum wage will be seeing a boost at the start of the new year.
Our government will raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour effective January 1st.
Now, the raise was supposed to happen in 2018, but the Ford government scrapped the legislation. Now, the Premier says the pandemic has changed the math. He made the announcement alongside Labour leaders today, who called it a good start, but they say a move towards a much higher living wage is still needed. Manitoba's new Premier, Heather Stefanson, was sworn in this afternoon, but amidst controversy, there is a call for her winning results to be invalidated and for there to be a new election. Karen Pauls explains why.
I, Heather Dorothy Stefanson, do solemnly swear.
And with that, Heather Stefanson became Manitoba's first female premier. In contrast to her predecessor, she began her term on the theme of reconciliation.
Our government is committed to listening and learning from First Nations leaders, elders, and Indigenous families as we advance reconciliation together.
Stefanson will have to start in her own party.
The next Premier of Manitoba is Heather Stefanson.
She won the leadership vote by the slimmest of margins, 51% or 363 votes, over former MP and Federal Heritage Minister Shelley Glover. She is refusing to concede, saying at least 1,200 party members didn't receive ballots, many of them her supporters.
I have no idea where this ballot is that I've asked for 3 times now.
The party denies there were any problems, but Glover is asking a Manitoba court to declare the result invalid and order a new election, saying there were substantial irregularities in the election calculated to affect the result.
I'm sorry, but Manitobans chose me, and those numbers do not add up. So something is wrong. They swore in the wrong person today.
I think it's totally unprecedented. I don't know of any situation where not just in this province, but across Canada, where a swearing-in ceremony has been the subject of a court challenge.
Those questions a focus of Stefanson's first news conference.
It's disappointing, but I'm not going to let this get off our game and our focus.
One of the issues demanding her focus outside the legislature today, students protesting day one of a strike at the University of Manitoba.
Stefanson needs to turn her attention to winning over Manitobans now because the opposition NDP are ahead in the polls. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets spoke publicly today for the first time about the sexual misconduct scandal that has gripped the NHL. In 2010, Kevin Cheveldayoff was an assistant manager for the Chicago Blackhawks, and he was named in the bombshell investigation into the Kyle Beach sexual harassment allegations. Cameron McIntosh has that story.
It's not so much what he knew when. It's why Winnipeg Jets general manager didn't act on information about a sexual harassment complaint when he worked in Chicago.
I am sorry that my own assumptions about that system were clearly not good enough.
Cheveldayoff was assistant GM in Chicago in 2010 when the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup. Last week, the team admitted management ignored a complaint from player Kyle Beach against video coach Brad Aldrich to concentrate on winning the cup.
My assumption was that we were dealing with the harassment.
Cheveldayoff says in his position he didn't really know Beach. Despite the fact Aldrich kept working, it wasn't clear to him management hadn't acted.
I was never, close with Aldrich. It wasn't someone that I associated with.
10 years.
Now the hockey world is listening to Beach, who went public last week.
And it's destroyed me from the inside out.
Anybody with any sense of humanity has been shaken.
Winnipeg Jets co-owner Mark Chipman is the first owner to really speak out about it, acknowledging the anger of fans across the league.
regaining or gaining public trust. I don't know that anything we're going to say to you today is going to necessarily do that.
Beach is suing Chicago. Today, his lawyer met with the team. For all the apologies, she says she has yet to hear anyone take responsibility.
But if it doesn't stop or start with recognition of what actually happened, if you're still in denial, you can't make any change.
Chipman says the goal is a Stanley Cup, but
it'll never, ever, 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 ever be at the expense of a human being.
Chipman says the Jets will work with outside experts, including Sheldon Kennedy, who after 25 years of teaching against abuse in hockey and dozens of other sports says the NHL has never reached out to him. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, a major test tonight for U.S. President Joe Biden.
The nation is watching what's happening in Virginia right now.
Next, the race for governor that's exposed a potential weakness in the White House.
What happened? It's been less than a year.
He's failed miserably.
Plus, we'll be back with more from Yukon.
Our children are looking to us.
A leader here in Canada's north determined to prove to the rest of the world carbon neutral can be done.
And later, Moderna's new chief medical officer talks booster shots and kids' vaccines.
Is that concern warranted?
Well, I would say no.
What keeps him up at night? We're back in 2. Well, tonight, Republicans and Democrats are keenly watching the governor's race in Virginia, where both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have been throwing their weight around. Many see this election as a possible sign of what's to come in next year's midterms. Susan Ormiston is in Virginia with more.
Republican Glenn Youngkin, running for governor in Virginia, threatened to upset Democrats in the first electoral test since Joe Biden became president.
The nation is watching what's happening in Virginia right now.
It's a state race, but Biden's slump in national polls, down about 10 points, raised Republican spirits.
What happened? It's been less than a year.
He's failed miserably.
A year ago, it was a bright blue future. Biden took Virginia on his way to the presidency, but in the last months, infighting on Capitol Hill has stalled 2 of Biden's massive bills.
He's a liability in the sense that he hasn't gotten anything done. We saw this enthusiasm gap grow when it became clear that those infrastructure bills were kind of stuck in the mud.
Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat for governor, was caught in the downdraft.
But are you worried?
Yes, and we should all be worried. And Biden is down 10 in the popularity. Terry's polls have sunk a little bit, enough to make the race close.
What a great ending to this campaign.
On the eve of the vote, McAuliffe was urging Virginians to think twice about voting Republican.
Glenn Youngkin has been endorsed by Donald Trump 10 times.
But Youngkin has steered a cautious course on Trump.
I say he's done pretty well of trying to kind of look like Trump to the voters who love Trump and look like Mitt Romney to the suburban voters who like this kind of nice looking guy in a tech vest.
Today, even from Scotland, Biden was spinning the vote.
Granted, I did win by a large margin. But the point of the matter is that I think that this is going to be what we all knew from the beginning. This is going to be a tight race.
Thanks, everybody.
For Democrats, it's been too close a campaign, and the message will ricochet.
It's going to be a real wake-up call that says, look, we could be heading into a wave election against us in 2022 if we don't find a way to pull ourselves out of this ditch.
Let's bring this baby home!
And so, Susan, tomorrow is 1 year since the U.S. election. What else has been weighing down Joe Biden?
Yeah, incredibly. There was a lot of COVID optimism in the spring, and Biden was seen as the beneficiary. But then the Delta variant swept in. People got nervous, and that was about the time of the Afghan pullout, still seen by many as a blotch on Biden's record. One of the analysts we spoke to said Biden needs a big win, and he needs it soon. Otherwise, he's going to be tagged with this inability to get things done going into the midterms next year.
Okay, thanks, Susan.
As world leaders meet in Glasgow tonight, we are in Yukon talking to a leader here already determined to go carbon neutral.
What will that signal for other communities who are saying that they can't do it?
Next, we'll talk about setting the tone for global change from Canada's north.
And later, a life-saving moment for a base jumper stranded on a Rocky Mountain cliff.
This is the world coming together to pay heed to the greatest crisis in sub-Saharan Africa.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today at COP26 in Glasgow as global leaders meet to discuss action on climate change. And that is why we're in Whitehorse. Welcome back. The effects of a warming planet are felt every day in Canada's small northern communities. And now, from one of the smallest comes a voice rising in global prominence on climate change. Dana Tizya-Tramm is the 34-year-old chief in Old Crow, Yukon. He has traveled the world to capitals and climate conferences, not with a message of fear, but of good ideas. I mean, are you going to be able to eliminate the need largely for diesel for good?
That's what we're working towards.
Those aren't just words. Carbon neutral by 2030 is his promise for his fly-in community of just a few hundred people. To the world's politicians, he says if you want to see climate solutions, just watch Old Crow work. We sat down to chat in Whitehorse. Was leadership always in your future, do you think?
Never. I ran away from home at about 13 and got into a very violent street life, drugs, alcohol, running from the cops. And I guess I just continued running ever since that time and was always looking for my home. And it took me a long time to find that and to plant my feet somewhere. And it was my people that gave me that strength.
So you go home, you go to Old Crow, and what changes do you start seeing in your community when you get there?
There are more lakes that have drained into the rivers. There are banks that have completely fallen. You'll see trees leaning over now, what are called drunken forests. Willow species that are becoming very aggressive. Migration patterns of the caribou, one of our main resources, completely becoming ambiguous. We're seeing bird populations change, reductions in insects. Everything that we can measure is changing, and it's changing drastically.
And so in 2019, you declared a climate emergency there. And I, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think an Indigenous community had ever done that on this planet before.
No, we were the first.
So how is your voice being heard at COP? Because you're here, you're not there.
Well, I went to COP25 in Spain, and it was alarming. Myself and many other Indigenous people traveled from all across the world, and we were given a tiny 25 by 15-foot pavilion that the voice of my people and my elders were subjugated to this tiny little space away where no other country or anyone else went. That was difficult, and it was not honoring our experience or our voices. And I left COP and I went home and I did some serious thinking and reflecting. And it came back to my people and what my elders would tell me and what they expect. And I realized that I don't need COP25 for the strength of where we're going as a world. If my community with a single solar project can satisfy 1/4 of our energy needs, if 250 people in a small village 80 miles north of the Arctic Circle can displace 189,000 liters of diesel fuel on their own volition, then we're showing by a small community that community is where the strength is.
So this year, you're not going, but you are sending them a video message. And what is the essence of that message?
We cannot give our power to any politician, to any CEO, to anyone. This is a time, in fact, where we must embody and take our power as a household, as a family, as a community, as a city, as a region. We should be having our own COPs. We should be having our discussions. embodying our identities and our powers because our children are looking to us.
But you still have diesel. You are part owners of an airline that brings the diesel that requires fuel to bring you fuel. I mean, how far can you take this?
Oh, we can take it very far. And this project is just an indication of our first step. This is a microcosm for where we are as a world. As Canada being one of the last in the G20 for meeting our subsidies and divestments from oil and gas, as well as a producer. And the real answer is that I don't care what the issues are. It starts with our people being galvanized around a direction, giving that direction, and for us, industry, for leadership, for politicians, for all of us to work together to find these elegant solutions.
How do you break through to the rest of the country?
You know, when you have John F. Kennedy standing in front of the world and saying we are going to be on the moon in 10 years, which is impossible, and we do it, you can't tell me that it's not the same with climate change. And here I am standing in front of the world saying by 2030, our village is going to be carbon neutral. What will that signal for other communities who are saying that they can't do it? If a rural community, and if my humble community can do this, any community can do it.
What is the weight of all this responsibility on you?
Well, let's say that at the beginning of my journey with this, there was some sleepless nights. I've been forced to look in the mirror of our environment and what it tells me about us as a people. And it's really important that every Canadian and every people's look into this mirror and face the hard aspects of it, but come through with the most beautiful aspects of what make us people. This is what my people have taught me in a very inhospitable environment.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time.
Merci, Cho.
And so, Adrian, we heard him make mention of addressing the leaders at COP. When is that happening?
Mm-hmm. Well, that is Thursday through a video presentation at 2 sessions on Indigenous and community micro programs. He is really hoping that the marginalization of Indigenous voices he felt last time won't happen again. We'll be watching. We will also be back with more from Whitehorse a little later in the show.
Okay, looking forward to it. Thanks, Adrian. Up next, a conversation with Moderna's new chief medical officer. What keeps you up at night? We'll talk booster shots, concern over a vaccine for kids, and why he has hope for what's next. Welcome back. As the United States prepares to roll out COVID vaccines to children as young as 5 years old, right now, the only company whose vaccines are authorized is Pfizer, which begs the question, where's Moderna in all of this? Pre-pandemic, Moderna was better known for its potential. The fledgling startup had yet to produce even a single commercial vaccine, but then came COVID.
You must stay at home.
Go home and stay home.
Moderna would become just one of 2 biotech companies to produce a viable mRNA vaccine. Distribution ramped up, so did stock prices, and now a new chief medical officer has grabbed the reins. Dr. Paul Burton worked at Johnson & Johnson for 16 years. Now he's working for Moderna, tapped for his global and commercial expertise. We sat down to discuss the vaccine, why it has struggled against the competition, and what comes next. Can I start by asking you that, the very ominous sounding question of what keeps you up at night? Is it, ramping up production, reformulation of the vaccine against variants, the vaccine in kids? What is it?
Well, look, I think it's really a combination of all of those. We have invested over a decade. And as we go into winter now, of course, will we see a surge in new variants of concern, variants of interest? That's a key topic that I think about a lot.
Okay, so let's go through those things one at a time. I mean, starting with vaccines in kids. We know in the United States, the rollout is underway. Moderna is not part of that rollout, pending, in kids under 18,
pending more information about the potential for heart complications. But we have seen some European countries actively advising in favor of Pfizer and against Moderna for those very sort of young people. Is that concern warranted?
Well, I would say no. We do see a small increased risk in 18 to 24-year-olds. That's been described around the world. It seems to be in common with mRNA vaccines. But it's very low numbers, and these cases, I would also reassure people, are typically mild and are typically short-lived.
What explains that? Why would we see that kind of a difference between the two?
I don't think we understand it. We know that COVID brings with it a very large and important risk of myocarditis, and that's probably due to the spike protein. Our vaccine has 100 micrograms of messenger RNA, so it produces a little bit more of the spike protein, and it may be that is what could account for this, but it's very isolated. And again, I would just reassure people that these cases are typically mild and they're typically short-lived.
Is there a side of you, though, that worries about how it might affect the hesitancy in people? I mean, and I'm thinking about parents who are now considering whether to have their young children vaccinated. And when they hear reports, I mean, I just think of AstraZeneca and the complications with blood clots, how that affected the rollout. You must have a similar sort of concern when it comes to Moderna.
Yeah, so, we know that COVID in and of itself, maybe 450 people per million will get some kind of severe heart disease, myocarditis. What we see again with vaccination is perhaps 20 per million, so very, very lower, would get myocarditis. And again, it's mild, typically self-limiting, relatively easily treated.
And as far as the actual administration of the vaccine in younger people, do we know at this point whether it will be possible to use existing stock of Moderna vaccine for adults and simply to dose it differently for kids, or does it require the kind of procurement of an entire new set of vaccine?
No, it should be using standard vaccine that we have now, but just probably at the 50 microgram dose level, so a quarter of a mil from a standard vial.
Can I ask you about booster shots? Where are we at on that front? I mean, is the focus right now simply on producing them or reformulating them against things like Delta or Delta Plus?
We are investigating as well messenger RNA sequences that we can put in our vaccine against, for example, Delta and other variants of concern. Those are in testing, and we'll be able to bring those data, I would think, to people and regulators before the end of the year, and then we can consider whether we need those or the current standard vaccine is sufficient. We know we have good cover with our current vaccine against Delta. So we can do that. We can pivot quickly to new variants if needed. But right now, 1273, our Moderna vaccine, has great protection.
And so just a final thought, Dr. Burton, on the virus itself, the trajectory of the virus, and sort of what concerns you. How would you sort of leave this conversation? What do you think Canadians ought to keep in mind?
Look, I think we've all been through a remarkable 2 years now, almost. It's been an amazing journey. I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. Countries' populations are nearing high concentrations of full vaccination. That really is, coupled with boosting and additional dosing, the only way, I think, to get out of the pandemic. We've got the winter to get through. That's going to be challenging, but we have surveillance technology now. The world is working together, I think, to be able to look at variants of concern, Delta, Delta Plus. We have agents in development for those if needed, but we feel confident in the current vaccine. So I think the light is at the end of the tunnel, and I'm very optimistic.
So that was Moderna's new Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Paul Burton. Worth mentioning, on the subject of booster shots, Moderna does believe that the general public should get boosters about 8 months after vaccination because of waning immunity, but Canada broadly doesn't agree. Depending on your province, it's only immunocompromised or elderly Canadians who are eligible for now.
Next on The National, the concern over a changing climate and changing migration. the growing threat facing migratory birds and what it could signal right after the break.
I'm Angela Starrett in for Jamie Poisson. Tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner, a reality check on carbon capture. Can it help us reach our climate goals, or is it just an excuse to keep emitting? Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. It's no surprise climate change has had a significant impact on humans, but birds are being especially affected by a warming planet. Fiona Odlum takes us through the global effort to tackle that one bird at a time.
At this bird sanctuary north of Regina, Jordan Rustad spends her days catching all kinds of birds.
We have a little chipping sparrow here.
She gently extracts them from a net so the research can begin.
So the first thing I do is I weigh the bird.
Rustad measures their wings and checks their fat levels. Then she bands them with a tracking number so their migration can be documented on a global reporting map.
These little guys weigh less than a loonie and they fly thousands of miles every year, and it's amazing that they make it at all.
And too many don't survive. Their epic journeys to find food and breed are being altered by climate change and other factors. Rustad says over 2 decades, yellow warblers shifted their average migration by 15 days.
Earlier in the spring, because bugs are emerging a little bit earlier, so the birds need to be there so they can take advantage of that food source. And in the fall, they've kind of extended their window. They don't have to rush through as much because they're not really being chased out by all this cold weather.
Even more so this year because of this summer's heat dome in Western Canada. The excessive heat combined with the lack of rain in June and July forced birds to stick around even longer, stalling their migration.
That can push some species over the brink. So I think there's a very, very deep concern about climate change for that reason.
Shorebirds are among the most rapidly declining species in Canada. And while they normally travel thousands of kilometers to and from the far north, a growing body of evidence suggests that due to climate change, the Arctic is no longer a safe harbor for breeding and nesting.
These benefits are disappearing. We postulate that animal migrations will be a lot less extensive.
Rustad is already seeing changes in the numbers of birds and the path they take.
And so if you're seeing large changes in bird populations, you're seeing differences in their timing, you know something's going on underneath them, and that's basically going to be bugs and plants and like other climate-related issues.
For her, the impact of climate change on bird migration is something she sees on the ground and at her fingertips. Fiona Odlum, CBC News, near Regina.
Well, next, a daring rescue on the side of a 400-meter cliff. Dangling in the air, secured only by a parachute. Stick around for the base jump gone wrong and the first responders who saved the day. Well, this is the side of Mount Rundle in Banff, Alberta, and that is a rescue team. They hastily answered the call to a tangled-up base jumper who dangled in the air for more than 3 hours. He jumped from the mountain with a parachute to help guide him down, but this jump did not go as planned, and that dramatic cliffside rescue is our moment tonight.
This person was actually more or less kind of plastered to the side of a wall, about 70 degrees steep, and his parachute was looped over a horn on the mountain and just like literally hanging on by a thread. There was only a couple of inches of material that was preventing him from falling off and then actually going further down the mountain. He had several broken limbs and he was in the shade of the mountain, so he ended up being hypothermic as well. So we wanted to try and secure him as quickly as we could. We attached 2 of our rescue team, deployed them over the edge of the cliff. They made their way to the patient and they were able to temporarily attach our system onto his flight harness. And then we moved him carefully another 20 meters down the cliff to a ledge system. We evacuated him from there with the heli-sling rescue system. So he was in rough shape, but actually, given what happened, still in pretty good shape.
Yeah, gosh, unlucky and lucky at the same time. He's probably glad to be home. Speaking of which, Adrian, you're coming home pretty soon too.
You bet. I'll be back there tomorrow. Save me a seat, if you will, at the desk. It has been a total honor to be here. And of course, to the people of Old Crow, Masi Cho. That is a national for November the 2nd. Good night.
Good night.